Hello, welcome back to Gecko Tech and Gaming. I'm Kyle, so I finally got my setup back up to speed. We just moved, so we're good to go. So I'm going to start back up. I wanted to catch up on that review for the Roccat Sense CTRL mousepad that I did a short on very briefly a while back, just to get my first impressions out. But now that I've had more time to use it more extensively, put it through its paces in more of a competitive scenario, I want to give more or less my final thoughts on it as a whole. So first things first, the Roccat Sense CTRL is made by Roccat, which is pretty well known for making really robust products, particularly their mice. I've used their Roccat Burst Pro, really like that, really great, lightweight, super sturdy, wired mouse. It's a great mouse, good price. I've also tried their Roccat Cone Pro Air, which is another great mouse, wireless, still maintains a fairly lightweight while still being built like a tank. Both of those mice, they felt like I could fight a bear off with those things. So I went into this with the expectation that this was going to be very sturdy, well built. But there are a couple design choices that really left me scratching my head wondering why they would do that, as well as some build quality issues. Really left me really disappointed. But there are pros and cons to it, and I'll get into all those details in just a second. But for now, grab a coffee, tea, whatever you prefer, and let's check it out. So the Roccat Sense CTRL comes in the smallest size of 450mm by 450mm, perfect square. Pretty generous, I didn't have any issues with sizing. It also comes in a full desk mat size, which is 900 by 420. The smaller size runs at $29.99 USD, and the desk mat size runs just $10 more. So not a terrible price, but not the best price either. Build-wise, the surface is what Roccat calls a vulcanized surface, which sounds like they just mean that they heat treated the fabric to create an even surface. So X and Y axis, no difference in glide that I could tell. And the surface has almost like an artisan Hien clone property to it. It doesn't perform the same at all, but visually speaking, it looks very similar to an artisan Hien. Roccat also says that it's water resistant. Water should just bead up and roll right off. So if you have a bad habit of spilling your drinks or your Mountain Dew or whatever on your mouse pad, or if you want to start the world's first underwater gaming league, that's weird, but this might be the mouse pad for you. It has really fine thread stitching around the edges, look really good, really tight, though the only concern for me is just that those threads, those fibers are so fine that I have a feeling that they might start to fray sooner than something with more sturdy edge stitching. And after taking a closer look at it, I do see just the smallest bit of fraying here and there, nothing really extensive, but take it into consideration. I've had it for barely just about a month, but I have been putting it in and out of storage back and forth quite a bit since we've been moving around. The backing is a texturized rubber backing, nothing special. I do find that the grip isn't the best. It will move around if you try and nudge it with your hand. However, for me, when I was using it in game, I didn't notice too many issues. If you're someone that uses your fingers with their grip to dig into the mouse pad to increase your control, you will probably run into issues with it not wanting to hold in place. So that's something you'll want to take into consideration. Static friction is present, but pretty easy to overcome. I didn't have any issues with it. I was primarily using the Ponage Sim 2 wireless on it with the stock feet, and I didn't have too much problems with static friction. It is noticeable, again, compared to a hard pad like a Sky Pad that I'm used to, but it didn't present any issues to me. Dynamic friction, I think, is very comparable in performance, at least, to a Gigantus V2 from Razer, but just a touch lower, so a little bit easier glide compared to a Gigantus V2. Way less dynamic friction than a QCK. Stopping power feels very similar to, again, it's pretty similar to the Gigantus V2 in terms of performance at least. The overall feel is not similar at all. You can definitely feel the texture of the surface when you're moving your mouse pad over it, but performance-wise, there's those similarities there. So with that dynamic friction, if you're someone who finds yourself having a little bit more shaky aim with a faster surface, you find yourself jittering a little bit, this could be a good mousepad surface for you. Now, on to the problems. Like I said, the edges do seem to have just the tiniest bit of fray, and it's been just about a month, so that's a little bit concerning. The bigger issue is that there's a permanent wave, like a crease, right vertically down the middle from top to bottom on the mousepad. Came like that out of the box. It was in a long box, fairly tightly wrapped. So I have a feeling that might be why it has that, but I've tried everything to flatten this sucker out and I cannot get it to flatten out. On the left and right sides of the mousepad as well, there's still that residual curve on the side that I haven't been able to get out as well. I've tried borderline folding it and pushing out those edges to try and get it to flatten out, and I cannot flatten it out. It didn't affect me in game in terms of actually using it. I didn't feel it just because the surface is actually very pliable. It's not very soft. Like, it's probably most similar to an artisan mouse pad with the mid hardness. It's pretty firm for the foam, but it's weirdly pliable. So running my mouse pad over it, it just kind of gives way and you don't really feel the wave, at least for me. However, it doesn't look really great having that wave on there. It's pretty noticeable. So that's another thing you need to take into consideration. And lastly, these really weird design choices. The first thing is on the top right corner of the mouse pad, they have their logo. However, it's a silver logo that has this silvery rubberized paint. That logo, you definitely will feel it and it will slow you down a little bit if the skates on your mouse run over it. So that little 2 square inches on the top right are kind of a no-go zone on the mouse pad. And then on the left upper corner of the mouse pad, there's this tag. Neither the logo or the tag are really that bad. The issue is that the tag is really, really firm. It's stiff as heck. And it lifts up off of the surface of the mouse pad. If you run into it, it's gonna lift the edge of your mouse up. And if you've got a mouse that has a certain lift-off distance, you might actually get it to completely lose sense on the surface. So not only will it interrupt your aim, it will also interrupt your mouse's sense on the surface. Come on, Roccat. I love your stuff, but the heck is up with that? So overall, I really like the surface. It feels like the surface is going to hold up pretty well long term, very similar to a Hien, and it doesn't have any coating. So it should stay pretty much the same over long periods of time. The problems come when you look at those build quality issues. You'll lose about 3 square inches of usable real estate on that mouse pad. So if a control mouse pad is what you're looking for, with a little bit of dynamic friction to help steady out jittery aim, and if you like something with a good amount of stopping power, but one that won't wear down over time, I think this is a good mouse pad for that. But you need to take into consideration those build quality issues as well as the design choice. I don't know if that's going to be every model that they put out. Maybe I got a bunk one. If that's something that you know won't bother you, hey, go for it. I actually really like the performance of the mousepad. But at $30, it's not the cheapest mousepad. It's not the most expensive. But there's a lot of other choices that work very similarly and will get you similar performance for equal or similar cost without those flaws in design. Alright, so that does it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys being here, taking the time to watch this video. Hey, if this video helped you deciding on whether or not you want to get the mousepad, leave a like, subscribe, tell me your favorite color, I don't know. And until next time, you guys take care, God bless, and I'll see you later. Bye now.